I'm a contributing editor, New Internationalist magazine. I'm the co-founder of an anti-fracking group called Talk Fracking. I'm on the advisory board of the International Modern Media Institute from Iceland. And I am working a lot at the moment with Occupy Democracy.
What's your hopes and your plans for Real Media then?
Yeah, I think maybe your viewers will have seen already some of the panellists who spoke this morning, including Nafiz Ahmed. And I agree with a lot of the stuff that's being said already, which is this is just good timing. It's unbelievably good timing because I think we're reaching, it's because of Tim Berners-Lee, ultimately, the guy who made the World Wide Web free, right? Primarily because of him, but we're reaching a sort of critical mass where the public are going, I've been lied to for a really long time and I'm not going to have it anymore. It's a bit like that brilliant film Network. Do you remember, have you seen, is it Network? Yeah, guy shouts out the window, I've had enough and I'm not going to take it anymore. Do you know about this?
I've seen the clip. Yeah. The guy sitting there at the TV, you know, just like, get angry.
That's
that
right.
one.
Yeah. It's people are getting to that moment, particularly with media. They know they've been lied to, you know, and since you know, Tom and Cam and everyone who's kind of got this brilliant organisation together, since they've started to kind of develop the idea, we've had some interesting developments, you know, particularly that guy from the Telegraph, Oborne, last week, you know, a very, very right-wing, you know, I imagine he's got a picture of Maggie Thatcher in every room, like a good Irish Catholic house where there's a crucifix. That guy's got Maggie. And he is going, you know, there's nothing democratic about the press. We're just owned by our advertisers, you know. People like you and me, we've known that all our lives, yeah? I mean, I'm 50, I've known that since I had a gun put to my head in Nablus in Palestine in 1981. I've known that the mainstream media lie. But as I say, we're reaching a critical mass of people who've worked that out. So now is the time for a wide umbrella of non-corporate media to get together and give a credible, you know, that's what's important. It has to be a credible alternative. It's not like some ropey, vaguely researched article. Do you know what I mean? It's easy to be it's easy to be better than those journalists. You know, there's a lot of journalism out there, as we all know. But we need to now come together and create a really great, credible alternative, you know, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Des just there now, Des Freeman, and he was telling me about how journalists who are already there doing their jobs, they don't want the stories to be put out the way quite often they are put out. Yeah. They don't wake up in the morning saying, oh, I don't want to be dishonest, I want to put out good stories. Yeah. But the institutions behind them are so powerful, even with this mass awakening. Mm. You know, he was saying about cinemas and books and book publishers and everything. So that mass awakening, is that enough just for people to say, you know what it is, I've had enough? Because they're still getting that streamed into their minds on a daily basis, no matter which way they look.
Yeah, it's not an easy paradigm to break. I think one of the things that's going to help, again, is the digital side of things. Now, Nafiz Ahmed famously was sacked from The Guardian, but he's now created his own media platform where people can use whatever, Kickstarter or something. He's making a good living. You know, that's the thing that with all situations where you want radical change, you've got to realise that a lot of people who are keeping the status quo going, they've got kids, man, they've got a mortgage, you know what I mean? But there is now a situation whereby, yeah, you can make a fair living, if you're very good, you can make a fair living being non-corporate media outlets. That's what's going to happen, you know? And it's you know, I'm going to talk about this afternoon, but a really good thing to think about is this wild genius called Buckminster Fuller in the 60s and 70s in the States. He said a lot of very, very wild stuff, but really brilliant. And one thing that really sticks, to depose a system, create an alternative system that makes that first system obsolete. We can be way better than the mainstream media. Think about their constraints, as you were just pointing out. Think about, you know, as Oborne pointed out, you know, because of your advertisers, there's some stuff you can't even write about. But it's more than that. They're in a paradigm. It's square. It's boring, you know. I'll give you an example, right? About 4 years ago, we were going around a room in university, London University, and it was about 4 days before a big student demonstration. And so they'd called together all the alternative media people who were going to be covering it. So I was there for New Internationalist, obviously. I don't know if you're aware, but we've been going for 40 years. We're a not-for-profit workers' cooperative. We cover issues of global justice. So I was there for that reason. There was Suki, who was a really interesting group of people who developed an app that would help you not get kettled. Yeah, Polly put the kettle on, Suki took the kettle off. Pretty smart stuff, right? So you had New Internationalist, Suki, Dissident Radio, indie media, about 8 outlets, yeah? And we all went round, and we ended up with a guy called Richard from Resonance FM. And when it ended, I was so glad it went that way round, and it ended with him, and he was going, I thought this is alternative media. All you lot are talking about is covering the story exactly the same way that the mainstream media would, but on a shoestring budget. Listen, it's a blank canvas. This is a blank canvas. You can be alternative, you can be creative, you can do whatever you want. We're going, well, number one, yeah, that's really interesting, but give us an example. He said, last week, right, there was a small demo in Parliament Square, okay, and my field recorder from Resonance FM, he was in this demo, right? Small amount of people, for some reason, surrounded by TSG, Tactical Support Group, and they were gassed. I didn't know they've been using gas over here, but they were gassed, yeah? And what did his field recorder do? Right, his field recorder stayed calm. He said, we've been surrounded by the TSG. They are what's the word? Dispensing gas into us. And they're about to charge us. So I'm putting the microphone down here. And then he got out of his book, 1920s surrealist poetry, and just started reading that over the mic while you can hear people screaming, going, ah, ah, ah. And he's going, you know, the table said to me, one day, everything is golden again. While you hear all this shouting and screaming, that's alternative, man, that's creative, that's beautiful. You've got to give the public a credible alternative. And it's not just a matter of excellent researched, erudite journalism. Like I'm saying, it's a blank canvas, you know. And if we're going to have radical, and we need radical change in this world, let's be clear about that. We're the first generations to feel the effects of catastrophic climate change. We're the last generations who can do anything about it. And it ain't going to be done by no government. It's going to have to be done by us. It's going to have to be in the streets. There's no contest there. And it's a global movement, and that's going to happen anyway. But if you want to get people really, really on board, you want to provide them more than just great journalism, challenging, great research. You want to speak from outside the paradigm, because this is all about shifting the paradigm, okay? There's no amount of like lobbying of governments or voting for this. Nothing's going to make any difference. You have to speak from the new world that you're fighting for, yeah? And that's what it's all about, particularly with youth. You know, at the moment, one of the things I do is I'm an active citizenship teacher for teenagers up and down the UK, right? Their most popular news outlet, if there is one at all, is the Huffington Post, yeah? But that's not, hardly any of them even follow that. None of them read newspapers, none of them are interested in the news, blah, 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 right? They feel completely excluded from it. As you probably know, Russell really helps with this, because they go, but that Russell Brand, yeah, because he's... So we need to be able to communicate in ways, and I'm not saying dumb down, I'm just saying speak visceral. There's too many outlets where you've got to swallow like 15 political tracts to understand what the hell they're talking about. And I'm not having that. And youth won't have that. Yes? A revolution that you need to have a degree in politics for ain't a revolution, mate. Yeah? It's all about speaking and working from outside the paradigm. You know, speaking from the world that we're going towards. That's what it's all about. In terms of mainstream media, there are some people who are doing this already. Do you know who the yes men are, Jamie?
Who are the yes men?
Yeah, do you know who they are?
As a group or just general yes men?
No, as an activist group.
No, I've not heard of them.
You're going to love this shit, brother. Check this. This is a good example of what I'm talking about. It's much better than to just, like, you know, be theoretical. Yeah. 12 years ago, astonishing live broadcast on live BBC News at the same time in America, live CNN, okay? 2 spokespeople from Dow Chemicals, yeah, who used to be Union Carbide, appeared live on television with this extraordinary announcement. Okay, we are admitting, after all these years of not admitting it, that we are completely responsible for the Bhopal disaster where 18,000 people died in a night because of the chemical leaks that happened on our plant. And we've evaded responsibility for that all this time, but I'm proud to say today that Dow Chemicals, who bought Union Carbide, we are accepting responsibility, and we would like other corporations to follow our lead. And we are going to pay, you know, this amount of money to all the people and all the families who've been affected, and we would like other corporations to continue to behave like this. It should be a changing in the way that corporations behave, and we want to be the first one to do that. You know, it's just like, wow! Okay? 1 hour later, someone from Dow Chemicals is on going, we don't know who those people were, man, but they weren't us. Check it, yeah? 24 billion wiped off their shares. That's the yes men, brother. You don't know this, do you? Check them out. It's beautiful. Yeah. Okay, where did they start? The first one that they did way ago. Okay, they had a problem about, this is called the Barbie Liberation Organisation, yeah? So they went into loads of toy shops, yeah? And they actually bought a amount of Barbies and G.I. Joes, is what Action Man's called in the States, yeah? You know, ones you pull the strings, yeah? Okay, and they took them home and they changed the voice boxes, yeah? And then they put them back in the boxes and they put a little message at the bottom, right? And then they put them into the toy shops up and down the States because they know the way that mainstream media works. Actually, let's not call it mainstream media anymore, let's call it what it is, which is far-right extremist right-wing media, okay? Let's get that clear, yeah? So they know that the way that far-right extremist mainstream media works is that, you know, it's misery, 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 and there's a funny story at the end. They were targeting the funny story and they got it. Because, great bit of TV, little kid, I bought G.I. Joe, and look what happens when I pull the string, pulls the string, and G.I. Joe, yeah, goes, let's plan the perfect wedding, let's plan the perfect wedding, yeah? And Barbie, eat lead, Cobra, you know, little Barbie with a handbag, eat lead, Cobra, when you pull the string. And then they read out, we are the Barbie Liberation Organisation. We're doing this because recent statistics show that 42% of primary school-aged children have bulimia and anorexia because of the body fascism of these toys. You know, 80 to 90% of young children, when they're leaving primary school, because of these toys, they already think that what's important as a girl is to get married and go shopping. What's important for a boy is to be violent and strong. That's why we've done this. We're the Barbie Liberation Organisation. See you soon.
They sound brilliant. I got to check Emma's out as well.
Check what?
I got to check out the Barbie Liberation Organisation.
Yeah.
Them yes men, they sound brilliant. Like,
yeah, well, one of the yes men did the BLO, did the Barbie Liberation Organisation.
Right, okay.
So the reason I'm bringing this up for your viewers is, I guess, this is a really positive time, you know, and it's very easy to kind of go, we are so screwed. But this is the moment where we can snatch our freedom now and create alternatives that there'll be a critical mass of people who are going to take us seriously. You know, I've done this for a long time, but now people are going to go for this.
I want to talk about the election coming up.
Sure.
Now, you're saying it's time to snatch the power away.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we snatch it in this time when the election's coming up?
Sure.
You know, how do we do that?
All right. So I'm a very strong believer in using non-violent direct action. I believe that's the only way that we're going to bring about. We have to have that. It's going to be part and parcel of everything else, like radical media. You know, radical or alternative media has to move along with this global movement, and it is global. The system we're up against is global, so the movement to change it has to be global. And at the moment, I'm really throwing in everything I can into Occupy democracy. So this is a response to the general election coming up. So if you measure the threat of an activist group by the high level of policing that it receives, everyone in Occupy democracy is bloody Che Guevara times 10, man, because, you know, you're only talking about 50 people. We go back to Parliament Square every month to discuss the corporate capture of democracy and discuss what a real democracy would look like, yeah? We just have experts who come down and talk, like Scriptonite, who you've got talking today. She was there last month, right? That's all we're doing. We're outnumbered, sometimes 3 cops to every one of us. We had someone arrested for having an empty pizza box because it could be construed as camping equipment. We had a dozen people arrested for standing on a tarpaulin. Yeah, there was a team of 15 police who were going round all night, and if you closed your eyes for too long, they'd arrest you for sleeping. It's absurd. What they're trying to do is like break us down, make us feel fear. But the opposite is happening because this is absurd, and also we know we're right, you know? So my reaction personally to the general election is to back Occupy democracy as much as possible. And to go back to the yes men and Barbie Liberation Organisation, you can infiltrate the far-right extremist mainstream media. You know, the yes men infiltrated it and made fools of it. And what we're doing at the moment, if you look at the way that they cover general elections usually, they have, here's Fred from Tories, here's Malcolm from Labour, here's Sandra from the Lib Dems, and here's John T from the Greens, blah, blah. And now here's Occupy democracy. Here's the crazy left-field thinkers, yeah? But we're not crazy left-field thinkers. We actually are speaking more for the population, we think, than any of those MPs and candidates. And that's what's becoming really manifestly clear. Yeah, I mean, the first time that we took Parliament Square, we took it for 8 days. And people like, you know, it made sense. People like Russell Brand was down there straight away. Jolyon Rubinstein from The Revolution Will Be Televised was down there straight away. You know, we are identifying something that they have identified. Yeah? People know that the system is not working for them at all, that the system is working for the 1%. But they don't know where to articulate that and how to articulate that. And Occupy, you know, primarily is a platform. So we're providing a platform for people who feel the same. This is where we come to talk about what a real democracy will look like. This is where we come to talk about how we can fight for that. new real democracy, right? We're not alone, man. You know, Syriza is no different. Podemos is no different. This is happening all around the world. In America, you know, there's huge movements that are very comparable to what we're talking about at the moment. There's a very interesting one in particular that has crowdsourced $5 million in 5 days, because they said, give us your money, and we will use this money to fund candidates who will sign a promise to say that the top of their list of policies will be to destroy the way by which major corporations and big businesses are currently funding governments. Yeah? It's a really clever move. See, this is the way to break the paradigm, is to work from outside the paradigm and imagine what a brilliant, beautiful world this can be. It's easy, you know. I work a lot with Birgitta Jonsdottir, so maybe this is my last point. Birgitta Jonsdottir co-edited the most recent issue of the New Internationalist, guest edited. And she was behind WikiLeaks, one of the main people in WikiLeaks. She then famously crowdsourced the constitution in Iceland. Yeah? When their banks collapsed, when their economy collapsed, they didn't bail the banks out. They arrested the bankers, famously. Yeah? People filled the streets, and they went, no, we're not going to bail you out, we're going to arrest you. And then they were going, wow, look at this power. They're the most online population in the world. It's only about 700,000 of them. So they went, right, you know, because WikiLeaks, she's got all this cyber power, and let's crowdsource a constitution, which they did, a genuine constitution, right, that something like 82% of the population signed up to, and went, yeah, this is who we are now. Take the power back, use digital technology, use innovative new ideas, speak from outside the paradigm, you know? And Iceland's a good example of that. And they now, I work with them on something called IMMI, right, which is, it's International Modern Media Institute, which I really recommend people look it up. And what they're doing is creating legislation, okay, and it's already started to go through Parliament there, creating legislation that will protect whistleblowers, that will protect journalists, will ensure privacy, and will destroy state surveillance. And it's law. She's making it law in that country. And the only reason that they're doing it is that once that is totally passed, that becomes a model that every country in the world can fight to have put through their parliament, their government. And that's a brilliant technique. It's a brilliant way, you know? It's lateral thinking, yeah? That's how we're going to win this. A good example is everyone, well, probably your viewers, a lot of them will know Edward Bernays. He's the guy who was Freud's nephew. He came over to the States after the war, yeah? Century itself, this guy. I heard a killer about him recently. So when he went over, one of the kind of sort of big corporations, producers that wanted his skills were the booksellers. They said, hey, Edward, you know, we'll pay you a lot of money to sell more books. And he went, no problem. What did he do, Jamie? He made bookshelves really must-have objects. Clever guy. He made bookshelves the thing to go for. And then people go, oh, God, better put some books on there. Brilliant. See, this is a genius way of thinking, but unfortunately it was used for neoliberal capitalism. But there are loads of people out there with that genius way of thinking who are going to make this world a better place, yeah?